Have you ever stopped to think how many times we fail to notice the small blessings that surround us every day? Amid the frenetic rush of modern life, we are like hurried travelers in an art gallery, passing masterpieces without even taking a second glance. Imagine, for a moment, if we could see the world through the eyes of someone who suddenly rediscovers the beauty of life in its purest and most essential form. This is the story of Clara Mendez, a 35-year-old woman who learned to count her blessings in the most unexpected and transformative way possible. Clara was no different from most of us. A successful executive at a large tech company in São Paulo, she lived her life at a frenetic pace, always racing against the clock, always looking for the next big deal, the next professional achievement. Her penthouse apartment in the Jardins neighborhood was a testament to her success, decorated with signature design pieces, with a breathtaking view of the city that never sleeps. However, Clara rarely had time to enjoy this view. Her closet was filled with designer clothes she barely wore, her cellar filled with expensive wines she never sipped lightly. His life was a succession of meetings, business trips, and networking events. On a Monday morning, like so many others, Clara woke up before sunrise as usual. As she prepared for another busy day, she barely noticed the singing of the birds announcing the dawn, or the soft aroma of the flowers in the vase that her assistant had placed in her room the week before. Breakfast was always in a hurry, a green smoothie taken while checking emails on my phone, ignoring the refreshing taste of fresh fruits and vegetables. In the elevator on the way to the parking lot, Clara did not notice the doorman's gentle smile, nor did she hear his warm, "Good morning, Dona Clara." His thoughts were already on the important presentation he would make that morning to a potential client. As she drove her luxury car through the city streets, Clara didn't notice how the rising sun painted the sky with surreal shades of pink and orange. She did not see the jacaranda trees in bloom that adorned the avenues, turning the urban scenery into a carpet of purple flowers. The heavy traffic was just another obstacle to be overcome, not an opportunity to practice patience or to observe the pulsating life of the metropolis. Arriving at the office, Clara greeted her team with an absent-minded nod, not noticing the glint of admiration in her young intern's eyes or the look of concern on the face of her assistant, who had spent the night working to finalize the report she had demanded. It was on this seemingly ordinary day that fate decided to intervene in Clara's life. A series of unexpected events would lead her on a journey of self-discovery and deep transformation, a journey that would teach her to see, truly see, the myriad blessings that have always been around her, waiting patiently to be noticed and appreciated. Through Clara's newly opened eyes, we are invited to rediscover the world, to feel the soft texture of a blanket on a cold morning, to savor every note of a freshly brewed cup of coffee, to hear the melody hidden in the noise of the city, to perceive the kindness in the small gestures of the strangers who cross our path. This is a story about loss and gain, about blindness and vision, about the art of counting blessings in the midst of adversity. It is an invitation to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to notice the thousands of small wonders that make up the mosaic of our lives. As we follow Clara's journey, we are challenged to take inventory of our own forgotten blessings. How many times do we give thanks for the simple act of breathing? When was the last time we marveled at the miracle of a new day? How often do we stop to enjoy the comfort of a hug, the taste of a home-cooked meal, or the beauty of a sunset? Clara reminds us that gratitude is not just a feeling, but a daily practice, a way of seeing and interacting with the world. His story teaches us that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found, always blessings to be told. Get ready to embark on this transformative journey. Open your heart and your senses, for through Clara's eyes, you can rediscover the beauty and magic that has always been present in your own life, waiting patiently to be recognized and celebrated. This is more than just Clara's story. It is an invitation to a new way of living, a wake-up call to the countless blessings that surround us in every moment. It is a reminder that when we learn to count our blessings, we discover that we are much richer than we ever imagined. So, dear reader, Are you ready to open your eyes and heart? Are you ready to count your own blessings? Clara's journey, and yours, begins now. It was a Saturday morning like any other in São Paulo. Clara, a 35-year-old executive, was rushing to another appointment. His calendar was always full, his mind constantly occupied with goals, deadlines, and results. She barely had time to breathe, let alone appreciate the little things in life. On that fateful day, as she hurriedly crossed the street, Clara did not see the car coming at high speed. The impact was inevitable. The sound of tires squealing on the asphalt, the dull thud of the body against the metal, and then darkness. When Clara woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed, her first feeling was one of complete disorientation. The fluorescent lights seemed too intense, the sounds around him a confusing cacophony. Gradually, as her consciousness returned, she realized that something was deeply wrong. "Doctor?" she called hoarsely. "What has happened to me?" The doctor approached, his face a mask of professional compassion. "Clara, you had a serious accident. We had to induce a coma to control the brain swelling. You're fine now, but..." Clara felt her heart race. "But what, doctor?" "The trauma affected his vision. We don't know if it's permanent, but for now, you're blind." Clara's world collapsed at that moment. How could she live without seeing? How would you conduct your career, your independent life? A million thoughts crossed his mind in a matter of seconds, each one more frightening than the next. The days that followed were a test of endurance for Clara. Every move, every action that was once automatic now required a monumental effort. Eating, drinking, going to the bathroom, everything will become a challenge. At first, Clara refused to accept help. Her stubbornness, the same one that had taken her to the top of her career, now made her stumble and fall again and again. But little by little, she began to realize that she needed to adapt to this new reality. It was during one of those lonely nights in the hospital that Clara had her first moment of clarity. Unable to sleep, she focused on the sounds around her. The constant beeping of the monitors, the whisper of the nurses in the hallway, the soft hum of the air conditioning. For the first time in years, Clara really listened to the world around her. And then, like a whisper in her mind, she remembered a hymn her grandmother used to sing. "Count the blessings, count how many there are, received from the divine hand." Clara laughed bitterly. What blessings could she tell now? His vision was gone, his career was at risk, his independence compromised. But something about that ancient melody touched her heart in a way she couldn't explain. On the 5th day of hospitalization, Clara's hospital room had become a microcosm of her new reality. The smell of antiseptic, once irritating, was now a familiar constant. The rhythmic sound of medical equipment marked time in a world without light. Clara was lying on her bed, lost in dark thoughts, when she heard a soft knock on the door. "Come in," Clara replied automatically, expecting another routine visit from the medical team. The sound of light footsteps and the slight rustle of fabric announced the presence of someone new. A gentle and melodious voice filled the room. "Hello, dear. Can I keep you company for a moment?" Clara was surprised by the warmth of that unknown voice. It was not the clinical efficiency of the doctors, nor the hurried tone of the nurses. There was a welcoming quality that intrigued her. "Who are you?" Clara asked, a mixture of curiosity and caution in her voice. "My name is Mary," replied the voice. "I am a volunteer here at the hospital. I like to visit patients and talk a little if they want to." Clara hesitated for a moment. His first inclination was to refuse company, to plunge back into his isolation. But something in Maria's voice made her change her mind. "All right," Clara said finally. "You can come in." The sound of a chair being dragged near the bed indicated that Mary was settling down. Clara could feel the woman's presence, a calm, comforting energy that seemed to illuminate the gloomy room. "It's a beautiful day outside," Maria began, her voice painting pictures in Clara's mind. "The sky is so deep blue that it seems that you can touch it. There are some fluffy white clouds, like cotton candy, and the birds. Oh, they're singing a symphony today." Clara felt a twinge in her chest. How long had it been since you paid attention to things like this? Even before the accident, when was the last time she actually looked up at the sky? Maria continued, describing the outside world with a vividness that captivated Clara. He talked about the flowers in the hospital garden, the movement of people on the street, even the smell of fresh bread coming from the nearby bakery. Gradually, Clara found herself relaxing. Mary's voice was like a balm, soothing her agitated soul. For the first time in days, Clara felt a smile form on her lips. "Tell me about yourself, Clara," Maria asked gently. "What do you like to do?" Clara hesitated. Before the accident, his response would have been automatic. Work, do business, achieve goals. But now, those words seemed hollow. I don't know anymore," Clara admitted, surprised at her own honesty. Maria made an understanding sound. "Sometimes life gives us a forced pause to rethink our priorities," she said softly. "Maybe this is an opportunity for you to discover new passions." Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. "How can I discover something new when I've lost so much?" It was then that Maria said something that would change everything for Clara. "You know, Clara," Maria began, her voice full of wisdom, "sometimes life takes something from us to teach us to value what we have." Clara felt as if she had been punched in the stomach. "What do I have to value now? I can't see. I can't work." Maria took Clara's hand between hers. His hands were soft and warm, conveying comfort and understanding. "Oh, my dear, you have so much. You're alive. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, hear the music of the wind. You can enjoy a good meal, feel the hug of a friend. These are blessings that we often forget to count." Mary's words echoed deeply in Claire. For the first time since the accident, she began to consider that maybe, just maybe, there was still something to be grateful for. Maria continued to visit Clara regularly during her hospitalization. Each visit brought a new perspective, a new way of seeing the world. Maria taught Claire to use her other senses to appreciate the beauty around her. Together, they explored different textures, the softness of the hospital sheets, the roughness of a tree bark that Maria brought from the garden. Maria brought flowers for Clara to smell, describing their colors and shapes while Clara touched them delicately. One day, Maria brought a small radio, and together they listened to music. Clara found that without the distraction of vision, she could hear nuances in the music that she had never noticed before. Gradually, Clara began to open up. She shared with Mary her hopes, her fears, her frustrations. Mary listened patiently and compassionately, offering words of encouragement and wisdom. "Remember, Clara," Mary often said, "gratitude is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets." Clara began to practice. Every morning, before she even opened her eyes, a habit she kept even after losing her sight, she mentally listed 3 things she was grateful for. At first, it was difficult, but over time, it got easier, and the list grew. Mary's unexpected visit was not just a moment of comfort in a difficult period. It was the catalyst for a profound transformation in Clara. Through Maria's compassionate eyes, Clara began to see a world of possibilities that she had not been able to see before, even when she had her sight. Maria taught Claire more than just how to deal with her new condition. She taught her the true art of living, to find beauty in simplicity, strength in adversity, and gratitude in all things. When the day came for Clara to be discharged from the hospital, she was surprised to realize that she would miss that room, those conversations with Maria. But she was also eager to apply everything she had learned to her new life. "Remember, Claire," Mary said on her last visit, "true vision comes from the heart. Keep counting your blessings and you will see that they are more numerous than you ever imagined." With a warm hug and tears in her eyes, Clara said goodbye to Maria, knowing that this unexpected visit had changed the course of her life forever. She was ready to face the world not only with her eyes, but with all her senses, and, most importantly, with a heart full of gratitude. In the weeks that followed, Clara began a journey of rediscovery. With the help of Maria and the hospital's rehabilitation team, she learned to navigate her new world of darkness. Every little achievement became a reason to celebrate. The first day she was able to feed herself, Clara felt a surge of pride that she hadn't experienced since her greatest professional successes. When she finally took her first steps unaided, guided only by her cane, she wept with joy. Maria visited Claire regularly, always bringing with her stories and reflections that helped the young woman see the world from a new perspective. One day, she brought a small radio, and together they listened to music. "Close your eyes, Clara," Maria said, and then laughed softly. "Well, you know what I mean. Just focus on the sound." Clara obeyed, letting herself be enveloped by the melody. It was a completely new experience. Without the visual distraction, she could perceive nuances in the music that she had never noticed before. The layers of instruments, the subtleties in the singer's voice, the emotion behind each note. "See?" Maria commented. "Sometimes we need to lose something to gain a new perspective. You are learning to see with the heart, Clara." After 2 months of hospitalization and intensive rehabilitation, the day that Clara longed for and, at the same time, feared, finally arrived. It was time to return home. The hospital, which initially represented confinement and despair, had become a safe haven, a place where Clara had learned to navigate her new world of darkness. Now she would face the challenge of applying everything she had learned in the environment that was once so familiar to her, but which now presented itself as uncharted territory. On the morning of her discharge, Clara woke up before sunrise. His senses, now heightened by necessity, caught the soft hum of medical equipment, the antiseptic aroma characteristic of hospitals, and the distant sound of nurses' footsteps in the hallway. Each sensation was like an anchor, reminding her of everything she had lived and learned in that place. As she prepared to leave, Clara touched each object in her hospital room, as if saying goodbye. Her fingers ran across the rough texture of the hospital sheets, felt the metallic coldness of the adjustable bed, and caressed the soft petals of the flowers Maria had brought on her last visit. Each touch was a memory, each sensation a story. Dr. Santos, the doctor who had accompanied her since the accident, came to make one last assessment. Her voice, once clinical and professional, now carried a tone of admiration and respect. "Clara," he said, gently placing his hand on his shoulder, "you've made incredible progress. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Each day will be a new opportunity for learning and adaptation." Clara nodded, feeling a mixture of gratitude and apprehension. "Thank you, doctor, for everything. I will never forget what I learned here." The trip back home was an intense sensory experience. In the car, Clara kept the window open, letting the wind caress her face. The sounds of the city, the noise of traffic, the chatter of pedestrians, the occasional barking of a dog formed an urban symphony that she had never really appreciated before. When the car stopped in front of her building, Clara felt her heart race. The doorman, Mr. Jose, whose presence she had scarcely noticed before, now greeted her with a warm greeting. "Welcome back, Dona Clara. We miss you here." The sincerity in her voice touched Clara deeply. She realized how many human connections she had ignored in her previous life. Upon entering her apartment, Clara was immediately enveloped by a mixture of familiar scents, the soothing scent of her favorite, scented candles, the smell of old books in her library, and a touch of lavender from the cleaner. These odors, once imperceptible in the midst of his hectic life, now told the story of his home. His hesitant footsteps echoed through the apartment. Each room presented new challenges and discoveries. In the kitchen, Clara ran her fingers over the stainless steel appliances, relearning the location of each item. The soothing sound of the refrigerator, the ticking of the wall clock, every sound. Detail helped create a mental map of the space. In the bedroom, Clara opened her wardrobe, letting her hands explore the different textures of her clothes. Soft silks, fresh cotton, cozy wool. Each fabric evoked memories and emotions. She realized that many of the expensive clothes she had once valued so much now seemed superfluous. Simplicity and comfort have gained a new importance. In the living room, Clara sat on her favorite sofa, letting her fingers run over the soft cushions. The silence of the apartment, once filled with the constant noise of TV or business calls, now seemed almost sacred. She could hear the soft hum of the air conditioning, the occasional clinking of glasses in the kitchen adjusting, the distant sound of footsteps in the hallway of the building. Each sound told a story, painted a picture of its surroundings. Clara turned on the radio, tuning into a classical music station. Beethoven's notes filled the room, and she found herself moved by the beauty of the music, perceiving nuances and complexities that had previously gone unnoticed. In the days that followed, Clara embarked on a journey of rediscovering her own home. Every room, every object, every daily routine was a new adventure. She learned how to prepare her breakfast using other senses: the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the sound of boiling water, the texture of fruit in her hands. What was once an automatic task has become a pleasurable and mindful ritual. With the help of assistive technologies and a lot of training, Clara began to regain her independence. She installed screen-reading software on her computer, allowing her to get back to work, even if at a reduced capacity. The robotic sound of the computer's voice, initially strange, soon became a constant companion, a bridge to the digital world she feared she had lost. Clara also redesigned her space to make it more accessible. Braille labels were placed on important items, furniture was rearranged to create clear paths, and color-coded systems, with the help of friends, were implemented for clothing and personal effects. But Clara's biggest challenge was internal. She struggled daily with the bitterness and resentment that threatened to consume her. There were times when frustration overcame her, when she knocked something over, when she got lost in her own apartment, when she missed watching the sunset from her balcony. It was in these difficult hours that the words of Mary and the melody of that ancient hymn came back with full force. "Count the blessings," Clara muttered to herself, forcing herself to find gratitude even in the most challenging moments. She began keeping a gratitude journal, dictating to her phone every night before bed. At first, it was hard to find things to be thankful for, but over time, the list grew. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning, the warmth of the sun on his face as he sat on the porch, the soft texture of your favorite blanket, the sound of rain hitting the window, Mr. Jose's kindness in helping her with the shopping, the patience of her friends as they described the world to her. Slowly, day after day, Clara began to realize that even in the darkness, there was light in her life. Her apartment, once a symbol of status and material success, has become a sanctuary for personal growth and self-discovery. One night, sitting on her porch, listening to the sounds of the city and feeling the night breeze, Clara had an epiphany. She realized that her home was not just the physical space around her, but the place within herself where she found peace, acceptance, and gratitude. Her true home was the state of mind she was cultivating, a place of resilience, self-love, and appreciation for the small wonders of life. With this realization, Clara felt a wave of peace enveloping her. She knew that there were still many challenges ahead, many moments of doubt and difficulty. But now, in her renovated home, both physical and spiritual, she felt equipped to face them. Clara's return home was not just a change of environment, but a profound journey of inner transformation. Every corner of her apartment, every familiar object rediscovered, every new routine established was a testament to her strength, adaptability, and growing ability to find beauty and meaning in a world she could no longer see, but could feel more deeply than ever before. And so, on that quiet night on her porch, Clara smiled into the darkness. She was home, truly home, for the first time in her life. 6 months after the accident that changed her life, Clara was facing the greatest challenge since she lost her sight. The invitation to give a talk at an event at her former company was not just an opportunity to share her journey, but a test of everything she had learned and become in recent months. The night before the event, Clara could barely sleep. Her room, once a haven of luxury and comfort, was now a space for reflection and personal growth. The walls that once displayed expensive artwork were now bare. Clara had donated most of them to charity. Instead of the electronic ambient sound she used to play, the silence was broken only by the gentle ticking of a wall clock, a gift from Maria that helped her stay connected with the flow of time. As she lay there, Clara let her fingers run over the Braille book next to her bed, a collection of poetry she was learning to read. Every word was a small victory, a reminder of his ability to adapt and grow. Dawn brought with it a mixture of anxiety and determination. Clara rose to her feet with the first song of the birds, a symphony she now deeply appreciated. Her morning routine, once a frantic jog, had turned into a mindful ritual of self-care and preparation. As she dressed, Clara carefully chose each piece of clothing, feeling the textures with her fingertips. She opted for a navy blue silk dress, a color she could no longer see, but whose beauty she could still feel. The soft fabric against her skin was a constant reminder of the sensory richness that surrounded her. Your breakfast, once just fuel for the day, has become a complete sensory experience. Clara savored each sip of coffee, noticing the subtle notes of caramel and berries. The whole wheat bread, still warm from the local bakery, exuded an aroma that filled the kitchen with comfort and nostalgia. When her driver arrived, a service she maintained not out of status, but out of practical necessity, Clara was ready. On the way to the event, she asked to open the car window. The wind in her face, the buzz of the city waking up, even the occasional smell of pollution, all this formed a living mosaic of the metropolis that she now perceived so differently. Arriving at the venue, Clara felt the familiar butterflies in her stomach that always preceded her important presentations. But this time, it was different. It wasn't fear of failure or anxiety for perfection. It was the pure thrill of sharing something truly meaningful. Backstage, Clara took a deep breath, holding her white cane as a talisman of courage. She could hear the murmur of the audience on the other side of the curtain. Hundreds of voices mixed in anticipation. Among them, he recognized some, colleagues, mentors, even rivals from his past life. When the presenter announced his name, Clara felt a wave of calm enveloping her. She walked onto the stage with slow but sure steps, her cane marking the rhythm. The silence that fell over the audience was palpable, a mixture of surprise, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of pity that Clara was determined to transform. Standing in the center of the stage, Clara let the silence extend for a few seconds. Then, with a serene smile, she began. 6 months ago, I thought I knew what success was. His voice was clear, charged with a confidence that came not from ego, but from deep self-acceptance. I had a prestigious career, a healthy bank account, a luxury apartment. But it took losing my sight to really start seeing. Clara shared her journey with raw and touching honesty. He spoke of the days of despair after the accident, when the darkness seemed to be not only physical, but spiritual. She described the moment she heard a bird song for the first time after weeks in the hospital, a sound so pure and beautiful that it made her cry. She spoke about Maria, the hospital volunteer whose kindness opened the door to a new way of seeing the world. She shared how she learned to navigate her home using other senses, turning every little victory, making a coffee, dressing herself, crossing a street, into a cause for celebration. I learned that true wealth is not in what we own, but in what we appreciate, Clara continued, her voice charged with emotion. Every breath is a gift. Every smile that we can't see but can feel is a blessing. Each challenge overcome is a victory to be celebrated. As she spoke, Clara felt an incredible energy flowing through her. It was as if each word she uttered freed her a little more from the weight she had carried for so long. She could feel the audience's attention, almost tangible in its intensity. Today, I count my blessings in a way I never have before, she concluded, her voice soft but powerful, and I invite each of you to do the same. Stop for a moment, breathe, and count your blessings. You will be surprised how many you find. The silence that followed was deep, almost reverent. Then, like a wave crashing on the beach, the cheers began. It started with one person, then two, and suddenly the whole room was on its feet, applauding with an intensity that Clara could feel reverberating in her chest. Tears ran freely down Clara's face, but for the first time in months, They were tears of pure joy and gratitude. She could hear sobs in the audience. She could feel the palpable emotion in the air. At that moment, standing alone on stage but connected in a deep way with each person in the room, Clara had a transcendental revelation. She understood that her blindness was not a sentence of isolation, but a portal to a deeper connection with the world and the people around her. She realized that every challenge in her life had prepared her for this moment, not to be a successful executive, but to be a beacon of hope and transformation for others. Their journey of darkness had become a source of light for those who could still see, but who were, in a way, blind to the true blessings of life. When Clara finally left the stage, guided by the continuous applause, she knew that her life would never be the same again. Not because she had achieved something great, but because she had discovered a fundamental truth, that gratitude is the key to a truly rich and meaningful life. In the days that followed, Clara received hundreds of messages from colleagues, strangers, even from old rivals. They all shared how his words had touched their lives, how they were beginning to see the world from a new perspective. Clara understood that her journey was far from over. In fact, it was just the beginning of a new phase, full of possibilities she had never imagined. With every step she took, with every person she touched with her story, Clara was redefining what it meant to really see the world. And so, with her heart full of gratitude and the eyes of her soul wide open, Claire embraced her new purpose. She was ready to lead others to discover their own blessings, to see beyond the surface, to find light even in the darkest moments. Clara's revelation was not just personal. It was a call for a revolution of gratitude, an invitation for all of us to open our eyes and hearts to the countless blessings that surround us in every moment. And in that invitation, Claire found her true vision, clearer and deeper than she had ever been before. And so, dear viewers, we come to the end of the first part of this inspiring story. Clara has found that counting blessings is not just an exercise in gratitude, but a powerful tool for personal transformation. But Clara's journey is far from over. What will happen when she faces new challenges in her life? How will your new perspective affect your relationships and career? And does fate have more surprises in store for her? Don't miss the next video, where we will continue to follow Clara's extraordinary journey. We'll find out how she applies her new life lessons in unexpected situations and see if she will finally find the peace and happiness she so desperately seeks. Stay tuned for the heartwarming conclusion to this story that reminds us of the importance of counting our blessings, no matter how difficult the circumstances. See you in the next video.